In the last video, we talked about cascading style sheets and how nominating styles for particular elements in your page can globally change things and make a consistent style across your pages. I'm going to talk about Bootstrap now, and for do so, we're going to use a snippet. And the snippet lives here in 5A. So open up 5A, and you'll find a Bootstrap link here. So copy this tag here, this one here, or this code here, and bring it back to the layout file, the layout pug on your app. Now I'll just put it in below the existing link here, and you'll see that it's quite similar. It's a link to a style sheet, except this one's not local. It doesn't live inside our app. It lives out there on the World Wide Web, and you can access it here at this address. But it's still a CSS file. See, this is style.css, and bootstrap.min.css lives out there. And you can have a look at that in your own time and look at the documentation on what lives in there. But I'm going to take out our local one now. We don't need it anymore. And what we're saying here is that when we see certain elements in our page, you should style them a certain way. So I'm going to save this, and by just doing that, you'll be amazed at how our app can take on a different look. So save that. I've still got my app running, and all I'm going to do is refresh this page now, and immediately we see a much prettier, much more attractive version of our login page. If we were to go to the register page, there it is, we'll see that it's consistent now, that the two forms across the login and register page look very much the same. Let's have a look at our layout, our home page here now. Nothing's going on here at the moment. There's no elements on this page which we've chosen to style. So why does it look this way? Well, I'll show you. Let's just look at the Bootstrap doco. So if you Google Bootstrap, there we go, Bootstrap. Google Bootstrap here, and you'll see getbootstrap.com. You see it. All of the documentation relating to Bootstrap is here. Now, what it's if you can have a great look through this documentation, but the very least you need to know is what's in here in the documentation area. That once you have attached the CSS to your site, you then have access to all of these components that are listed down here. So let's have a look at one of the components, and you'll see that there's an alert component that you can get access to, and it gives you examples of the kind of tags that you might put in your code in order to make things look a certain way. So they give you an example here. This primary alert, check it out, would be coded in this way. Simple primary alert, check it out. And it would be given the class alert space alert primary. So that class is what's giving our element a certain look. Once we've referenced the CSS, the Bootstrap CSS, we can apply classes to different elements on our page, and they'll adopt the look and feel of the Bootstrap, of Bootstrap. There are more examples in here of whole pages that you can code in certain ways, and it'll show you how to achieve those looks. So I can look at this one, and if I look at the source of this page, let's have a look at the source here. So on Chrome, I'm going to go View Developer, View Source. If I just search here for the word class, I'll see that all of these things are given classes: container, row, column S8, column MD7, PY4, text white. These are all examples that have come out of the elements, or out of the documentation area of Bootstrap. So you can have some good fun in there, looking at all of the different components. There are layout components that allow you to set your page up in a grid or in a table or whatever. There's a grid one here. So you can see how spacing works and how Bootstrap can help you to make flexible websites. Watch this, see how it sort of flexes as we go. So you can understand all of this, but importantly, just understand that if we apply a class in our code to a certain element, it'll adopt the relevant appearance of the Bootstrap version of that element. Good. So let's have a look at our code and look at why our form, for example, on our login pug looks that way. It's because the classes have been applied. So we've got a Jumbotron here, a div that has been given the Jumbotron appearance. So Jumbotron is a class. Now the way you do classes in Pug is just like that. You don't have to put the thing, like before in Bootstrap, it said, let's go back to Bootstrap, get Bootstrap, examples. No, go back to the documentation here, and you'll see that, go to a component, any component, there we go. See here it says class equals. Well, the equivalent here is to just say div dot. So here, this whole thing, we just need to put div dot alert, and the class will be applied to a div in Pug. So just remember that as you go. You'll see that div, this looks similar, but we don't need to close it, and we don't need this class equals or the open quotes or anything. We just need to say div dot alert. That'll do it for us. If we want to apply more, we just put more dots. Dit.alert dark, and we'll see more of that later as well. Yeah, great. So this div here has had more than one class applied. So it's got the form group class, div.formGroup class, and then .mxms3 class, and then .mb2 class. So all of these things are classes. There's another class applied to the input control, and there's another class there applied to this button so that it makes it look like whatever the primary button class looks like. So that's why we have the appearance that we have across our pages. Now you can also add whole elements. So I want to go back here to the examples, and you'll see that there's an example of a header bar here. And where else are the header? Oh, let's have a look here. So the Jumbotron example, or the Nav Bars. Let's look at the Nav Bars example. You can use any of these Nav Bars by adopting the code for one of these Nav Bars. And that's what I've done for our app. So we're going to learn how to do that. If we look behind here, if we look at the Nav Bar docs, we see all of the examples for these Nav Bars and how to assemble them down here in the example code. So that code there will produce, that code there, if you were to copy and paste it, even into Pug, just like this, it would produce this Nav Bar, okay? So I've got a Pug one ready to go for us. So all you need to do is open up 5B and add it to the layout Pug. So let's go back to our snippets, and 5B is here, and I've got a Nav Bar ready to go. So let's copy this Nav Bar code from our Pug Nav Bar code, copy all of it from just under there, from where it says this is the container, all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to bring that to our layout.pug. Let's go back to our code, and layout.pug is here. So it doesn't do anything at the moment. Layout Pug just doesn't have anything in it, which is why our index page doesn't look anything special. So I'm going to make some space here, and I'm going to pop in my code, the one that I just copied. Now the very first thing to check is all the spacing looking right? So Pug is very particular about this tabbing. That's spelled wrong. So Pug is very particular about its tabbing. So if this tab was out like this, it's going to break. So you need to make sure that you think all of the tabs are correct, are tabbed right. So the way to think about that is what belongs to what. So this is the Nav Bar tab. Clearly there's a nav, and these are the classes. So everything that wants to be inside that Nav Bar should be tabbed in from that as a child of the Nav Bar. So one tab in is one child level below the Nav Bar. So just have a look for that. And if you think it's okay, hit save, and then let's refresh our Jump Club page. And straight away we get a nav bar at the top. And Bootstrap's going to help us make it flexible. In fact, it's going to go all the way and make it responsive and put a button over here when the page gets too skinny. So we can get, but this is CSS and Bootstrap at work. But what you probably just need to know at this stage is that we've copied in that stuff, and you can look through each line here and you can see what it does. You can see that we have, let's just look for something common. If there's a user, we're going to put in a nav to float right that's going to say log in and register. If we're logged in, it's going to say what is the username. So we've moved the stuff up. We've moved some of the similar concepts that we had just right on the login page before, relating to choosing whether a user is logged in or not. And we move that stuff up here into the nav bar. So you see, we're not logged in at the moment. So we get a nav link that says login and another one that links us to the register page. And sure enough, there they are. Now, if we were to log in, we ought to see a welcome to the user, not appear just in the body here, but also in the nav bar, because that's what we're instructing it to do. The last thing here is some scripts. Now these scripts work, they work here, they also work in the body or at the bottom. You can't see them, but they also work in the body if you put them in there, but I'll just put them in here so that they're always around. And what these scripts do is they also go out to the internet and they adopt some JavaScript functionality from other places. So things like when the, let's say when this is too skinny and we want to pop this out, we need some JavaScript that's going to help make this happen, this part here. And so you need these other JavaScript references in your code so that functionality will appear. If this was to come out, let's just take this out. I'm pretty sure if I take this out and hit save, then when we do that again, if I refresh this page, it'll still look okay, but when we go to here, I don't think this is going to work anymore. No, you see, it doesn't flex down anymore because our JavaScript reference has gone. So I need to undo that, save it again, and it should now, if I refresh this, we should now get back the cool little animation. Okay, great. So that's our heading. Last thing we're going to do here is, let's do a couple more things. We're going to get our logo from the snippets page. So I've just got this little logo. Why I've got this logo here is I wanted to explain to you how images can work in your website. And you can see images because, you can store images in your website and reference them. And there's a folder for that here in public. So we've learned about style sheets being in the public folder. We haven't learned about JavaScript, but we also can know that images can be referenced easily by putting them here in this images folder. And that's what I've done up here in the header. So in the header bar, I've said, let's make a reference to an image, and that the source of that image is going to be in our images folder, and the image itself is going to be called jumplogo.png, and it's going to be 30 pixels wide and 30 pixels tall. All right. All we need to do then is make sure that in our images folder there is in fact an image called jumplogo.png, and I have got one of those, so just copy it in here. Oh, there it goes, and it's copied in here now, and we should see that by refreshing the page, the logo appears here in the header. That's great. So I've just made a little jumping person logo, and there it is. So I just wanted to show you that you can, by referencing, you don't need to reference the word public, you just need to reference images, and it's going to look in the images folder inside the public folder for whatever logo or whatever image you want to put. You can put many of these and put images all over your website. So just by copying and pasting this a couple of times, we should start to see, I don't know how this is going to look, but well, there we go. We got three images side by side. So that's how you insert images into your site. So if you've done all that right, now you'll have a much better looking app than you had before. Oh, we've still got 3 logos in here, so I think I just need to save this because I took the logos out again. And we've now got a much better looking thing before. we've got, let's see if it's still working. We've got our register page and our login page here. We know they look a bit better. Let's see if the A guy can still log in. And sure enough, yes, that login still works. And we're welcomed. Sure enough, we're welcomed here. Welcome AA. We're given the logout option here. And you'll also notice that I've given two new links here in the header bar. So this is where I get to tell you about what the app does. Our app is, it's just a silly app, really. It's just for a jumping club. So I imagine a club of high jumpers or log jumpers, people who like to jump. And I imagine they want a website for recording the events that they jump in, the high jump, the long jump, the standing long jump, whatever they're going to do. So they record those events, and then each of the members of the club can record their latest jump and see how they stack up against the other people in the club. So it's a record for all of the jumps in the club. So it's the Jump Club. And I only do this because it's going to highlight two principles for us. Well, one important principle, which is writing to a database and storing the events, and then really importantly, linking database records together. Now, a lot of tutorials aren't going to show you that. They're going to show you how to write events to a database or write items to a database, but the real secret or the real power of databases and also web apps comes when you start to link things together. So we're going to have some records that, of course, belong to a jumper, a Jump Club member, and they also belong to an event. So it's unlocking that, understanding that concept will unlock a lot of stuff you're going to want to do in your own apps later on. Okay, so we're going to do that soon, and that's where they're going to be. We're going to have events here, and we're going to have records there. If I go there now, nothing's going to happen. We don't have these pages yet. Okay, so we've got a pretty looking website now for the Jump Club members to start using. We're going to start allowing them to do that in the next video. Right down here at the bottom of the layout pug, we see this if statement. And this is something I wanted to point out because it it puts an if statement, and Pug allows us to do that. It allows us to make decisions or detect things as the page loads. So it says here, if there's a message.alert, which relates to something we did earlier on. You'll remember that when we started this, we installed a Flash messages package using npm. So that's what we're making use of that here. If that package sends through an alert message to the home page, then we're going to set up a div, an alert, primary alert div, which we saw earlier on actually when we were looking at the Bootstrap page, and we're going to throw the alert that carried through from the other page that's passed through to this page, we're going to put in here. So if this message doesn't exist, then we won't see this message. But if it does exist, if a message is passed through, then we're going to show this div, only if this exists, okay? We're going to see that now. So we've got, let's have a look in our logout route. And in our logout route, we see this. So if we hit the login page, we're going to hit this route with a GET request. And all that's going to happen is Password's going to help us log out. They're just going to do the logout here. But then the Flash package is going to say, here is an alert message, call it an alert message, and the content of the message should be this: you are now logged out. It's just going to send, and we should put an N in here, send the user to the home page where we know that if any time the home page loads, then the nav bar will load because it's on the layout pug. And we know now that there's an alert message being passed through. So that condition should be true once we hit the layout pug. Yes, an alert message exists. So let's show this. Now, it won't happen on any other page. So every time we hit, if we go to any of these pages and go back to the index page by hitting either the logo or the name here, and those are back up here, and they have a link back to where are they? There we go. They have a link back to, each of them has a link back to the index page. So every time we hit the index page from one of these other pages, that doesn't occur because condition's not met, and we don't have a message being passed through. If we log in, and I'll do that now. Now every time I put in this rubbishy password, I'm going to get an alert. There it is, because it just knows that, look, if we just see this, these are rubbish, just rubbish passwords. So it's looked at on the internet for if this is a poor password, and I'm just going to get this every time. So ignore this, make your password something better so that you don't have this. So I'm logged in now, and again, I'll see that there's no messages passed through. I'm going to go back to the index page, no message, no message, no message. If I hit this logout page, that route is going to say, okay, go back to the index page, but pass through an alert message. Remember, let's go back and have a look. Log out, we'll say go back, log the user out, then set up an alert message, store it as an alert, and redirect back to the index page. Now that there is an alert message, we should see that condition met, and we should see a logout message in our pug, which is in our layout pug. We should see here that this alert div is shown now because there's an alert message. Let's just check it out. Log out, and there it is. So our alert message is shown because that condition's now met. As soon as we hit it again, it's going to disappear because on that refresh of the page, no message was sent through. Great. Last thing to do now is a little bit of a challenge for you. The layout pug contains, the index pug. I'm going to close everything but the index pug, because a little bit of a challenge for you that I want to set, and that is to play around with this, the index pug. You don't need to worry about any of this anymore. We don't need access to our login link or our register link or our logout link anymore, because we just put all of that stuff into the nav bar. So all of this now is redundant, really. We don't need it anymore. So I'm going to delete it. There it goes. These are just two line breaks, so I could delete them as well. Delete those as well. And I'm going to save this. And we're going to see just a big white canvas for you to play with now. My challenge for you, once you've got a blank site like this, is to visit this website. I'm going to give you the website, pug-bootstrap.glitch.me. And this is a really handy site, and got to give a shout out to Andy Chilts. He's put together some examples of how you can take some Bootstrap examples and make them into Pug. So you can have a look at the templates here, and I'll open this up in a new tab, and you can hit this open as well, and you'll see what that's supposed to look like. So this is an example of some Bootstrap styling, and the code for this is back here. So he's showing you here how to put together these pages. So just pick some stuff out of here. Let's look for the Jumbotron. There's the Jumbotron there. And we're just going to I'm going to put this Jumbotron on the page. Let's see. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to take it back to my index.pug. I'm going to get into the container section here and paste in what I just grabbed. Now I don't need this container tag here. We know that it needs to be tabbed in, so it wants to belong to this container, so I'm going to tab it in, all of this in. I'm just going to select this and hit the tab key, and now it's tabbed in. So if I save this and I now refresh my page back here at the Jump Club, let's have a look what I see. Great. So we now see some stuff on our homepage. That's fantastic. Welcome to Jump Club. Let's put on here, welcome to Jump Club. All right, terrific. We save this and refresh it, and you can play as much as you like in the Pug, and it's going to allow you to keep just refreshing and trying to make a welcome page for your jumpers. So that's my challenge to you, is to visit that website, or just Google for some other stuff relating to Bootstrap and Pug, or do what you can to turn those HTML tags into Pug tags. You might know a little bit about that now, or just look through all of these other examples that Andy Chilton has given you here, and try and make yourself a nice a nice home page for your Jump Club members. Okay, you have a go at that. Take as long as you want. I'll see you in the next video. But I hope you have some fun, and I hope you come up with a good looking homepage. Good on you.